Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm bringing you inside my own home and I'm going to show you what we did 5 years ago when we renovated our kitchen. When we designed this kitchen, I wanted a white kitchen with warm tones in it. I wanted the warm metals, not the cool metals, and I wanted there to be accents of black. I drew out what I wanted the design to look like and then started pricing out the items. And as I did that, I quickly realized I was not going to get a couple of things that I really wanted. The first one was I was not going to get a black range hood over the stove. Now I see them all over. But 5 years ago when we were looking to do this job, there was none. There was stainless steel ones and there was plain ones, but there was none that were all black that were anywhere near our price range. So I found the one that we ended up using that has a black front panel. That gave me just a smidge of black, but what I really wanted was black. So because I couldn't get the black range hood to bring the black in that I wanted, I decided to put an element over the stove with some marble tile and some black pencil tile to bring in some of the black that I wanted, but just in a different way. Now, in making this design decision, I knew a couple of things. I knew that certain people in the future who were going to look at this home weren't going to like it. But I also knew I was picking something really classic and timeless. And if you go through homes that are 100, 150 years old, you're going to see the same kind of concept behind their stove with marble tiles and with black, and it looks timeless and classic. So even though it wouldn't be everyone's favorite, it also wouldn't date the home terribly and make it something that people just could not stand to have down the road. I knew I was going to be able to bring the black in with the light fixtures. Those were two of the items on my design board right from the get-go. Like, those light fixtures are the things I had my eye on. I wanted two of them to hang over the island, and I just kept my eye on them on multiple retailers until I found them for the best price. And I'm telling you guys, if you're willing to be patient and wait and watch your favorite items, put them in your online cart and just hold them and wait until a sale comes, a sale will come. These light fixtures were originally close to $800 a piece when I first found them. We ended up buying both of them for under $200 total because I waited 4 months and looked at multiple sites until they went on clearance. Another way I wanted to subtly bring black into the kitchen was with a black iron sink. I hadn't seen this done anywhere before, but as soon as I saw it when I was browsing sinks online, I fell in love and I thought this was the perfect addition to this white kitchen with just some little accents of black. Turns out that this was one of my favorite purchases. I would not have known then how much I truly was going to love having a black iron sink. First of all, it's big enough that you can put an entire cookie sheet right in the bottom of it and soak it and clean it really easily. But because it's black, it always looks clean. The sink looks clean all the time. It doesn't smear, it doesn't stain, it doesn't streak, it doesn't chip, it doesn't... Honestly, it is the best thing that I purchased for this kitchen. Not only that, I put it in my cart at 2 different retailers and I watched it for a month and a half and we ended up getting it $200 off on Amazon, not at an actual kitchen supply store. It was also really important for me to get a gas stove. I really do like to cook and I had heard so many great things about gas stoves. And I also knew that the top of a gas stove just looked a little bit nicer and it would bring in some more black into the kitchen. So we added a gas line, got a gas stove, again, at a great price, at a great retailer who sells appliances at a much lower cost than what you get in store. So not only did I get the gas stove that I wanted for the cooking purposes, but it also looks really great in the space. I am a huge fan of open shelving in any kitchen. No matter the size, unless it's a really formal space, I love bringing in open shelving into any style of kitchen. So even though I chose a one-wall kitchen, which is one of my favorite kitchen designs, I still wanted open shelving. And on my original drawing, the open shelving was mounted to the wall with brass hardware, and it was a really nice warm walnut wood tone. Well, by the time we got to that part of our project, we had almost no money left, and the kind of shelves and the kind of hardware that I wanted to mount those shelves was completely out of the picture. There was no way I was going to be able to stretch the budget enough to get it. So we ended up compromising and getting these faux stainless steel shelves with the matching hardware from IKEA. Each of these pieces cost a total of $12, and so it was well within our tiny scrape of a budget that was left to pull together to put 3 shelves in the kitchen. Now guys, as a result, when I look back on my kitchen today, I think, oof, 2 of the things I originally drew on that drawing, I never ended up getting. The black range hood and the wood stoves with the warm metal hardware. That seriously would have completely changed the look of the kitchen. That was the original design. So looking back, I wish I would have re-altered my budget. I would have picked up those shelves and that hardware earlier in the process to make sure that I prioritized that look, especially once I knew that the black range hood was out of the picture. Don't get me wrong, I love the kitchen. I think that it looks great. It's been serving us well for the last 5 years. But every time I sit in the living room and I glance over at the kitchen, I think, wish I would have done the shelves and the range hood that I originally drew on that drawing. Just a reminder, if you like these design videos, please give it a thumbs up. I'd love for you to subscribe to my channel and click the bell so you're notified every time there's a new video. And as always, if you have any feedback, any questions, any ideas for future videos, please leave a comment. I love to hear from you. One of the other things we prioritized for our kitchen reno was an island, and specifically a waterfall countertop on that island. I wanted to be able to seat at least 2, but we managed to put an island in here that seats 3. And I wanted there to be a countertop that felt like marble, but that was way more durable and way more inexpensive. So we went with this quartz countertop, and I'm so glad that we did. It's been so great. It looks fantastic, super easy to take care of, nowhere near the cost of granite, nowhere near the cost of marble. It was a really great decision that we made, and it looks fantastic. In fact, I highly recommend, if you have an island or a peninsula or something that you have the end of a kitchen counter that's visibly obvious to your guests, consider pricing out the cost of getting that extra slab of material to do a waterfall, and it just finishes off the space and makes it look so beautiful. One of the things that I wanted to have in my kitchen was some really great drawer organizers and space where you could like put all the pots and the lids and the Tupperware and their lids and have everything really organized. We got some prices from some different kitchen stores, and we really realized it just wasn't going to be worth the money getting a more high-end kitchen when you could get a kitchen from IKEA with all of the inserts and all of the functional options they have with a 30-year warranty. IKEA kitchens have come a long way over the years, and their warranty is fantastic. So we decided to spend less money on the actual kitchen cupboards and save that money to put towards the waterfall counter. One of the things we also opted for after doing some research and listening to some other friends who had done kitchen renovations was putting in a counter depth refrigerator. This simply means it doesn't stick out further than your counter or your cupboards, and it just looks a little more streamlined and clean. We got this one on sale along with our gas stove at a really great price. So since we were doing an open concept main floor, I knew that so much of my life was going to be spent sitting on my sofa and looking towards the direction of my kitchen. And I thought, what am I not going to want to see? Or what's going to really bother me and make me feel like it's cluttered and busy, and make sure that I don't include that in the design. So as I got drawing out different cupboard options and different drawer options, it occurred to me that the less lines I could have on my one-wall kitchen, the better. So for us, that meant we went with the biggest drawers that IKEA had, and in the top 2, we put hidden drawers that were smaller to put things like utensils and spices and all that kind of stuff. But it means that there's only 4 drawers that are visible from the living room, 4 pieces of hardware, and the seams of those drawers match up with the seams in the upper cupboards that are above them, which means the lines all match. And when I sit down in my living room, it's just really pleasing on the eye. So instead of having a line of smaller drawers on top and then some medium-sized drawers underneath and then pot drawers on the bottom and different widths, I decided to go just with the 4 drawers, clean lines, really easy on the eyes, and that's been one thing I have been very grateful for. So when we entered into this renovation, our kitchen was on the other side of the main floor and our living room was on the side that the kitchen has now moved to. And in order to make this work, we measured out every square inch. We came up with different ideas of where could the stove go, where could the sink go, do we want the sink on the island, do we want the sink on the back wall? We measured out every square inch and thought what's going to give us the most use of space, both counter space and floor space for when we have company over. And as a result, we ended up measuring things out just exactly to fit what we possibly fit all we could in our little floor print. This meant that we actually didn't have room for a regular standard table. So we ended up having this custom kitchen table made. This guy followed our specifications. He even made 2 extensions that we can slide to either ends of the table to extend it and allow it to seat up to 12 people. And he did such a great job. We got to pick the design, we got to pick the leg shape, we got to pick the stain color, and he custom built it to our specifications. I have a whole blog post actually, I'll link it below, if you want to read a little bit more about our custom farmhouse table and how we went about designing it. So one of the things I've always wanted to have in my kitchen is a pot filler. And we ended up putting one in our kitchen. We deck mounted it as opposed to putting it on the back face of the stove. I'll explain that in a minute. But now that we have it, we kind of laugh because you really only need to like turn around with your pot to get access to the kitchen sink. But still, I love it. It's one of the things that I love the most about working in my kitchen. It's super functional and I love having it right over the stove. Here's the thing with pot fillers that we learned. There's deck mounted and there's wall mounted. I really love the look of a wall mounted pot filler. But given the age of our home and given the way that we feel like it's been insulated, given the climate that we live in and the types of winters that we have, our contractor, who happens to be my father-in-law, strongly advised against putting a wall-mounted pot filler above our stove. In the event that the insulation was as bad as we think it is, and in the event we got a really bad winter, there'd be a greater chance for the pipes to freeze and burst or something terrible to happen with the plumbing that was connected to a wall-mounted pot filler. So we opted for the deck-mounted pot filler, which means you just put it on the countertop next to the stove. It still looks great. I was able to bring in that little extra splash of black that I wanted. And like I said, it's super functional. Making pasta has never been easier. I'm gonna do a whole other video about things that I regret about this renovation so that you can have full disclosure. But I wanna share with you some of my absolute favorite things. When people say, what would be a must-have for you if you were redoing a kitchen? Let me tell you. Number 1, the black sink. Can't say enough great things. Love this black sink. Number 2, a garburator or garbage disposal, whatever you want to call it, but being able to throw all of our food waste down and get it mulched up and out of the house that way, as opposed to putting it in bags and putting it in the garbage and composts and all that smelly stuff. We love the fact that we have a garbage disposal. Number 3 is the pot filler. Like I said, I use it all the time. It's silly because I literally could just turn around and fill up my pot from the kitchen sink. But the fact that it's right there, I love it. I use it all the time. Number 4, and like I've said before, I love these in most kitchens, and that is open shelves. Having open shelves for your everyday dishes and things that you use all the time is just super convenient. Also makes unloading the dishwasher a breeze. And finally, one of the things I love the most about the way we did this kitchen was the selection of cupboards. Instead of doing a traditional height cupboard and then putting a bulkhead that's decorative on top, we chose instead to go with a shadow line. A shadow line essentially just means you get the tallest cupboards you can, and then there's just a hint of a shadow between the ceiling and the top of your cupboards. This gave us tons of extra storage space considering it is a small kitchen. And I love the streamlined look that it creates from essentially the ceiling right down one line of cupboards. I think it looks really pretty. So that is our kitchen renovation. We did the whole thing on a really tight budget. We stretched our dollar as far as we could, but we are completely happy with the results. Well, that's the kitchen reno. I hope you guys enjoyed the video today. We'll see you guys next time right here at I Am Loved.